I thought we had probably our most average practice of the spring. We've had really good 5 practices, but wasn't as probably I just didn't think as much juice today as we needed to have, and the guys didn't come out with the right attitude. At times we had good periods. We had a good spirited third down period and got after it. Good team run, but didn't start the way we needed to. We need some leaders to step up, and I think that's when it starts to the wear and tear starts to happen in spring ball. Guys are looking forward to getting to G-Day, and I'm trying to get them through practice 6 so we can get better. We continue to install. We got some freshmen hitting the wall, a couple guys getting confused, and hopefully we'll be able to slow down after practice 6 and go back through the beginning install again and kind of see what sticks. Some guys showing improvement, but not at the pace we need. Offense is definitely ahead of the defense, and we're struggling a little bit defensively on the defensive line. We just don't have as much depth, and we're not as physical as we need to be. And I don't know if that's a credit to them or a problem for our defense, but something we got to rectify, and we definitely need some help on the depth of the defensive line. With that, I'll turn it over to you.
Speaking of that depth, he may have been out there, but I just didn't notice number 94, Michael Barnett. Is he dealing with anything? Or?
Yeah, he had a minor knee injury, and that's part of the issue. We think he's going to be fine. He's going to be back possibly by the end of spring, but may not make it back by spring. And that's part of the problem right there. He I think it was Tuesday's practice. He had a slight dislocation, but we think he's going to be okay.
What are some other ways you can rectify that or deal with that? I guess you have freshmen will be joining later.
Not many at that position. Not many at that position. So, we're excited about the guys we got coming in. I think it's tough to play as a true freshman. You know, we had that crowd of Tyler and Julian and Mikhail and David, all that really helped us that one year. We're certainly going to need some help in depth-wise. I think the key is going to be staying healthy, because losing 2 guys like John and Trenton, I don't think you'd think it would have as much of an effect, but we really only gained one in Devontae Wyatt. So the sum effect of that with Michael Barnett being a little out has put us short some.
Jonathan Ledbetter, he has some kind of wrap on his right thumb. Just how long has he been dealing with this? Is it a serious issue? Or
No, those kids all wrap their hands. I mean, he doesn't have anything really. He had a little bout of he got a little sick on, I guess it was Tuesday or Thursday, and he was not out there for part of the practice. So he's been going under the weather, which has hurt us as well. But he's fine as far as his hand.
How's Justin looking at quarterback?
He's hitting a little bit of a wall. I think with all the installation, he's coming in, meeting extra, doing all the things we expect of him. But it's a lot, and we don't taper it for him. We allow him to come in, meet extra, learn it, and I think he's really getting accustomed. We've done some different drills that he hasn't done before, where he's got to move in the pocket and move around and be able to create space away from the rush, step up from the rush. And I think a lot of that's new for him. I think he's growing in that role. Certainly got good mobility when he gets out of the pocket, and he's done a good job picking things up. What I like most about him, he has a really good demeanor. You know, he doesn't let the high plays really affect him. He doesn't let the really low plays affect him. He continues to improve.
I guess it was a week ago, Divide had the ACL injury.
Yeah.
What has that done for you guys in the secondary? How have you kind of had to adjust to compensate for that?
Tough. I mean, that's a tough injury, because he was a kid that was really coming on for us, and we still think he's going to be able to play next year. It's not a matter of being out. There's a lot of guys that come back from that and are able to play, and he's a bright kid. He's a really hard-working kid. We think he'll heal fast, and I mean, if he's at Zamir's pace, we should be able to hopefully get him back. But it's made us look at some things at Star. We've got to look at some outside backers, very similar to what we had last year when we had Lorenzo out there. So we're working Jaden Hunter, which you guys have seen. We're working Walter Grant. We've taken Mark Webb and allowed him to try to cross-train some. But I think Mark's going to have to be a corner, but we've got to train multiple stars. Obviously, William Poole has done it. Tyreek McGee has done it. But I don't think you can have enough guys to do that position, and Divide was going to be one of those guys. With him out, it's put a little more burden on everybody. So when you put the D-line with a secondary, it's been tough defensively.
How has Mark settled into being a cornerback? You guys moved him, I guess, back in late August. Is he guy you think you're going to count on a lot this year?
Oh, yeah. We're going to have to count on him. We're going to have to count on him and some of the younger players to grow up. I think Mark's physicality, the one unique thing about Mark is he's a good tackler. And that's not always a great trait for some corners. So he's physical. He's a good tackler. He really wants to learn the defense. And I think some of the complexities, we probably did him a disservice, that first summer playing all wide out and then flipping him over. So he's getting to where he's comfortable at corner, and then all of a sudden, boom, we drop star on him. So it's put him at a disadvantage, but we would rather him go through spring practice with a disadvantage and then fall, allow him to be a corner if we've settled on a star by then.
Guy that redshirted for you last year, Trey Bishop. I mean, I don't think anybody doubts that he's probably one of the, he's a really, really good athlete. Played a lot of positions in high school. How's he coming along there for that secondary?
Learning progress. He and Brenny both. Those are two guys I challenge every day. I mean, if you go ask them, I know y'all don't talk to those guys, but they probably wouldn't like me right now because I'm riding them. And our depth at safety is a very serious concern, and they are part of that depth. So they're not ready to play yet. And I don't necessarily think they should be ready to play, but I think they should be on their way because where they were unique last year, you didn't see them play, but they took a ton of reps in practice. And the growth hasn't been what I want to see out of he and Brenny. So I challenge them every day to, are we going to get where we can trust you to put you in the game because you're one play away? And we're not where we need to be there.
Out in L.A., Isaiah Wilson said that his redshirt year was the best thing that had ever happened to him. Now that he's getting an opportunity to compete a little more for a starting spot, are you starting to see the benefits from that redshirt year?
Yeah, I think he's learned a little bit more about how to compete. When you got to come over and block Lorenzo, Davin, Trenton, those guys all day, it certainly makes you come to work. It's a lot better than sitting over there watching somebody else do it and blocking a scout team guy. So he went over there and competed and got better during that time, and he's continued to improve throughout the spring, but he still has a ways to go. We still have a ways to go with the offensive line. There's a couple guys in there playing really well, but that's one of those positions that he's got to compete and he's got to grow as a player to get to where he can be and perform at the same level the tackles did last year.
Ben Cleveland worked at right tackle a lot last year. Is he still a factor at right tackle?
Absolutely.
Completely at guard.
Yeah, he's right tackle, left tackle, and guard. I mean, every one of those guys. We've got 7 guys per field, so they do musical chairs. So they get their reps at their primary position and they get their secondary reps. So Ben continues to get reps at tackle, just so we think we're going to have more guards than we do tackles, which is usually the case. So he may have to step out and play some tackle.
And you've been at it so long enough that the size of these guys usually doesn't really shock you, but Ben, Isaiah, they are a couple of guys that are kind of on that upper, tier of how just enormous people they are. I mean, does it excite you as a coach? Does it excite, Coach Pittman as well, that you can kind of pair up a pair of guys like that with that stature to be able to, create something in the run game and a presence on the offensive line?
Size doesn't excite me. What's inside that helmet does. First time I saw Isaiah win, I didn't exactly get excited, but I was pretty disappointed when he left. So it was not it's not a matter of how they look all the time. It's a lot more about how they play. And I guess if you asked every defensive lineman that Isaiah faced in the season at SEC, they would say that Isaiah Wynn was one of the fiercest competitors, physical guys. Our defensive line didn't want to go against him. They love going against Ben and Isaiah Wilson, so they can get up under them. So it's not a matter of size alone. I think the size obviously gives you the ability to stay in front of the quarterback, keep people off, but your bend and your flexibility and the power you create is a lot more important than your size. So those two guys they're in position battles. I mean, just like a lot of guys out there. There's no starting offensive line in my mind. There's some good young players out there that are competing with older players.
Gilliard looks like a relative runt when those guys line up, and then you got Lamont at center. What I'm wondering is does center just matters less size at that position? Obviously, it's a lot about aptitude. Or is that a position that eventually you'd like to get bigger at as well?
Well, I think it depends on the kid. I mean, Lamont, to me, is not really undersized. We just have a couple big guys to his left and right. But it also matters what front you play against. Was it an odd front where he's covered, or is it a even or over front where he's not covered? And he does a good job with both. He certainly can improve. He knows he's had some challenges with some really good teams we've played. He's tried to improve that. But it's not like we're sitting here saying we got to get a bigger center. I mean, we want an effective center. Again, it doesn't come down to size. I look at David Andrews and see what he's been able to do, and he's not exactly an overpowering, oversized guy. He's very intelligent. He knows leverage. The centers I've been around that are really good, they got a lot better feet than they do size.
When we talked to some guys about the Alabama game and the ending of it, like McCole talked about it as motivation. Guys seem to be going out of their way to not avoid talking about it. How are you treating it? Is it motivation for next year? I mean, I know you want to move on, but you also can it be a catalyst?
I don't even talk about it. So the fact that they're talking to y'all about it is just because you asked. And if you ask our kids, their immediate response is, "Oh yeah, it's motivation. It's motivation." We don't discuss that because that team is no longer here. I mean, I don't believe in motivating through fear or motivating just through revenge. Now, can revenge be a factor? Yeah. But we don't have Alabama on our schedule next year, not the regular season schedule. We got a lot more to worry about than that. I would rather have some kind of intrinsic motivation of I want to be the best player I can be. I want to get to be the best I can be. I don't want it to be because of this, because you may not always have that. You may not always have that ability to generate that motivation. So we don't really talk about it. I mean, we talk about the lessons we learn in coverage, the lessons we learn in keeping the quarterback in the pocket, protecting the ball. We learn lessons from the game, but we're not using the game as a mantra, a battle cry. I just don't think that's what you want to do.
Kirby, how is Marshall along as he's progressed from his injury in terms of what are you seeing from him this spring? What kind of competition is there? And when Camarda rolls in the summer, how will he factor in, do you think?
Yeah, practice 6, we really haven't punted live until the last really 2 days. And I've been so caught up in the rush protection coverage part. I'll be honest with you, I really haven't looked and said, Marshall's been out there kicking, and I think he's doing a good job, especially with his op times. But I haven't seen distance, hang time, all the things, direction. That's something we chart, and then we're going to come back and look at and say, where is he? But, yeah, we're excited about the competition we're going to have. We've got another young man out there, Bill Rubright, who's punting the ball well. So there's going to be a good competition at that position.
We watch the slots go. You see Miko and Akil go, and they're kind of, they're a lot different than Kiaris in terms of stature and everything else. How has he adapted to that position, and kind of how does he bring you a different element to that inside receiver role?
You're talking about Kiaris? Or
Kiaris,
yeah, I think he's a different size guy, like you mentioned. He's learning how to play in there and outside. He's a very bright kid. It matters to Kiaris. He doesn't do it right, it bothers him. He takes coaching well. But I do think he's different than those guys. What he's going to give us is still yet to be determined, because those guys have elite straight line speed and quickness, and Kiaris is a good body guy. I mean, he gives you a bigger body, more physical, can block people, and some toughness in there. So he gives you a little something those other guys don't give you.
Got time for one more?
Kirby, with Jeremy at Tennessee, Dan Mullen at Florida, it's two rivals of Georgia. How do you look at the SEC East with those guys coming in terms of what they can bring to the division?
I look at it just like I did last year. I mean, we got to beat them. I mean, the names and faces may change, but the places are all the same. So, I mean, I'm not concerned with what they're doing, and they're not probably concerned with what we're doing. We're obviously trying to develop a team that believes in its self-confidence, but I don't concern myself with what those guys are doing. Thanks.
Thank you.